Hey, it's Matt with SEO Gets. I'm excited to jump into the topic of query counting and why you should be using query counting. If you're curious about what query counting is, how it works, how to set it up, and things like that, go to our feature page. It's going to be linked in the description. But I'm going to kind of jump into more of the practical why you want to be doing it. The thing with query counting, the cool thing is it can tell a completely different story than your clicks and impressions. So one of the things that I love using query counting for is to measure like content visibility and topical coverage. I know that's kind of a term that some people like, some people don't, but kind of the width of how many queries that you're actually going to be ranking for. A lot of times I can see that, hey, we went up in the number of queries. Again, we're looking at the trend. We 4 times the amount of queries that we were getting impressions for from August to November, and then we've kind of stayed a little stagnant. But when we look here at the traffic, we can see traffic has actually kind of stayed growing. If we look from here to here, we saw a huge spike, but impressions have actually gone down. So what that means is probably the demand for these queries have gone down, so we're getting less eyeballs to them. It could be seasonality. There could be a lot of different reasons, but I'm just looking at it from a understanding to see if the topical authority is expanding or contracting. That is one of the biggest things I love using query counting for. It's really super easy to see. The second thing is that there's a lot of ways to use this for performance troubleshooting. So sometimes you will see clicks go up and query counting go up. That's a good signal. That means basically you're expanding, but you're also giving content that is high quality and it's improving the clicks. Sometimes you can improve in your query counting and it goes up and your clicks actually go down. Sometimes that has to do with your ranking dropping and you're expanding for more terms, but you're not ranking as high, so you're not getting as many clicks. So you need to improve the content intent to better match the queries. And then sometimes they kind of like stay more flat, but your clicks improve. And so that's oftentimes like increase in branded search or increase in demand, or your rankings improved for the queries that you were already ranking for. So lots of ways for you to interpret this data table with this data table to kind of tell a story, and you're trying to look for examples of like why it would do that. Someone did a site migration and was looking at the query counting, and the query counting stayed the same, but their clicks dropped significantly. And so one of the things that we found out was that they actually lost their site links underneath their branded search. And so instead of saying brand and then underneath was pricing and blog and all of the site links, they were removed with the domain transfer. And so that's why the queries stayed the same, but their clicks dropped to those pages. So things like that can really give you a better story of why things are happening. 2 specific use cases that I just absolutely love query counting for, and I'm going to give a shout out to Ben Goody here. He wrote an article about keyword cannibalization. So he removed the page, and what it did was it skyrocketed his rankings and traffic for that content. So one of the things that we can do is we have a keyword cannibalization report. You come in here, you find a ton of keyword cannibalization opportunities. You go and you either delete the page or you merge them. Again, I will link to this article. He shows kind of how he does it. You can use our tool or you can do it in Search Console. And then what this allows you to do is you remove that content and you can see, did the queries just drop off? Because then you know that you would have made a mistake removing that thing content. So you, instead of removing it, you should have just made it better and improved the clicks as opposed to removing it. Whereas if you have 2 pages ranking for the same queries, the number of queries should stay the same because you're still ranking for that query with at least 1 page. So the content pruning / cannibalization validation is like one of the best ways query counting can come in and make sure that you're not screwing up your site with site structure changes or keyword cannibalization or things like that. The other thing I love to use it for is local SEO. So understanding that when I increase clicks and impressions, one of the ways that that can happen is just by improving my rankings. So if I'm on page 2, I go to page 1, and et cetera, et cetera. So my impressions and clicks can improve, or seasonality. Again, say it's summer, it's going to be a lot busier for home service businesses than the winter. But I want to be expanding my reach and my area and services I offer if that's what I want to be doing for a client. And so I can see here that yes, our queries are improving. So oftentimes it's for service in city is a new query. And so you want to continue to see that as long as your person actually serves that area, that you're growing in expansion of services and areas. And so I love using query counting to make sure that it's expanding not just in clicks and impressions, but in terms of visibility too. So with that being said, obviously I'm showing you everything in SEO Gets. You have a free trial. It's free for any site under 1,000 clicks per month. But say you just want to use Search Console, you can do that. You can just create a simple sheet like this. And what I do is you go to the date and you select a date, and you look at here and you see the total number of rows, 741. And so then you come in here and you do 741 and so on and so forth. And so I did it on a weekly basis. A cool trick that you can do is if you start doing dates, you can just click and drag and it will select the dates for you. And then you just add the number of queries. One of the limitations with Search Console is that if it's more than 1,000 queries, you've hit the max. You can't do more than 1,000 queries or 1,000 rows for each date, or any table has a limit of 1,000 rows. Whereas SEO Gets allows you to go up to 50,000, 50 times more. So most large sites won't break that 50,000, but most sites will go past 1,000 queries once you start getting significant traffic. So you go do that, and then I just exported this as a CSV, went into ChatGPT and said, I want you to create a table graph for this data set showing the date as the x-axis and the total number of queries as y. And so you can see here, this is going to be a very similar kind of report to this. Now, again, this is just dummy data that I kind of put in here to show you. But you can still do this for free as long as your site has less than 1,000 queries per day. And I did it on the weekly basis because it would take a lot of time to do it on the daily basis, again, where you get it on the daily basis here. So you can do it for free in GSC. It's possible. It's just manual labor. But if that's the information you want to get to show for reporting, it's beautiful. Again, the other thing that we can do in SEO Gets is breaking it down by rankings, which is also really helpful. So understanding that we're not just improving the queries, but we're improving the quality of the queries. So like I want to see an increase in 1 through 3, not just total number of queries. Because again, if I get a ton of positions 21 plus, it doesn't really matter. So that's another great way for you to be able to break it down, is by the rankings. So let me know if you have any other ideas of how to use query counting. I love the subject of it, and hope you enjoy this new feature. And we got a lot of new things coming. So thanks.